You can be great at scheduling, tracking KPIs, and writing flawless project plans. But the moment you're expected to lead people, everything changes. Welcome to the Project Management Masterclass, the show where project leaders are made. This platform exists for one reason. Tools don't deliver projects, people do. That's why the Power Skills Academy was created, to help project professionals master the skills that actually move the needle. Emotional intelligence, communication, collaborative leadership, and strategic thinking. The skills that elevate your influence and make people want to follow your lead. If you ever thought, what am I missing? This is your answer. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. Now, here's your host, Brittany Wilkins.
Before I get into today's show, why mental health is a project deliverable and ways and steps we can do to help navigate our mental health, I want to ask you, how are you? Really, how are you doing? I just don't want you to think about this and move on. I want to know. So send me a fan mail or drop me a message on LinkedIn because today is World Mental Health Day. And I want to let you know this, your well-being matters. In my humble opinion, mental health is not just personal, it's professional. In fact, it is a project deliverable. Think about this. Deadline, scope, and budget mean nothing if we as project leaders are always running on empty. You can't pour out from an empty vessel. So how can protecting our mental health directly drive project success? Well, let's start with one of the toughest things for us to do in most of the positions that we're in, and that is saying no. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't walls. They are blueprints for healthy leadership, which kind of brings me to the first point. It's important for us to set and establish boundaries as a leadership tool. As project managers and leaders, we very well know how to manage scope, time, and costs, but we rarely manage our own boundaries within the same discipline. So it's important for us to set work hours like we would set a project schedule, push back on unrealistic demands within reason, but also propose alternatives for pushing back on those demands with some other solutions that may fit the situation better. And if we have the ability to delegate, we shouldn't have to carry the project all alone on our shoulders. There's no I in team. It's about we. And I truly believe boundaries aren't selfish. They are leadership in action. You know, for many of us, or majority of us, as project managers and leaders, meetings are the nature of the business that we're in. And for a while there, I was getting so consumed in meetings and being in back-to-back meetings all day, every day. And I just said, this cannot continue, this cycle of meetings, because I feel like I'm not getting any work done. So how can I still show up, contribute to the meetings that I'm leading, but then two, also execute a lot of the work that has to get done for the programs that I'm leading? So in trying to establish better boundaries, what I did was I looked at all my meetings. Then I kind of categorized them. Projects where I have to lead, this is non-negotiable, it's mandatory. Projects where I am a consultant in, and then projects where I'm not really a consultant in, but I'm still invited to the meetings more or less as an information or a nice to know. And for those projects I was a consultant in, or the meetings that I was invited to as a nice to know, or just nice to kind of be involved and kind of give some feedback here and then, I really had to really adapt my schedule and just have conversations with a few people about my participation in the meetings moving forward and why I can no longer attend certain meetings as a consultant or just be in this meeting, especially if I wasn't contributing anything of value or if I wasn't getting anything back, because I really wanted to get my time back, but also too really wanted to get back my peace of mind and not just constantly being in meetings and feeling like I'm really falling behind on executing a lot of the deliverables and KPIs expected of me. Because it really led me to really having just a cloudy mind all the time, just a lot of thoughts circling in my mind. And you can't lead a clear project with a cloudy mind. That's why it's all about this very next point. And it's about setting and establishing healthy routines for clarity. Because stress thrives when our bodies are depleted. So maybe it's not even just adapting our schedules to have less meetings or negotiating to have less meetings and not being as involved. Maybe it's us building in micro breaks into our day if you're not already doing that. Simply taking 2 to 5 minutes to step away can really reset your brain. Maybe it's exercising before work, during your lunch break, or after work. And this doesn't mean spending hours at the gym. That really helps you clear your mind. Or it could just be a brisk walk to calm your nerves. And we can't forget this one thing: sleep. Yes, sleep. Sleep should be treated like a critical deliverable. I truly believe a tired, always tired and burnt out project manager makes tired decisions. And here's something that we often forget too, is that we don't have to go it alone. In fact, the strongest leaders know how to really lean on others. That's why support systems are key. I know it's very early on in my career, and at times I felt so lonely in the journey, especially when everyone is kind of looking at us to have all the answers and to be able to deliver everything and just to kind of hold everything together, which is our jobs. But too, where's that support system that can keep us from really falling all apart? That's why support systems are vital. So whether it's a peer group, it's having a mentor, a coach, or a therapist that could really help to really lighten that mental load. The truth is, you don't have to figure it all by yourself. There was a couple years ago, there was a product manager within the organization, and he was a certified mindfulness coach as well on the side. And within the organization, he started a mindfulness community of practice. And I couldn't tell you how the return on investment I got from being part of this mindfulness community of practice, this bi-weekly meeting, was taking just a couple minutes. It was kind of built in, taking just a couple minutes bi-weekly just to stop, pause, and reflect. And he would always walk us through this breathing exercise. He taught us the practice of learning how to pause and just learning how to breathe. And what I really enjoyed the most is that it was a safe space. He enabled others to really kind of share what they were kind of going through. And he even shared at times, it's like, hey, even as a mindfulness coach, and working this job, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, but here's what I'm doing about it. And when other people had the courage, they would speak up and share about anxieties that they were going through and what they were dealing with. And it got a lot of positive reactions, or other people gave other people the courage to kind of stand up and say, I'm glad I'm not in this alone. And he just taught us to practice a mindfulness, not just in breathing or sharing your feelings and how you're feeling, because sometimes people are not comfortable with that, but how to practice mindfulness, how to build that daily habit every single day. He walked us through different mindfulness practices. We watched videos. Then he taught us kind of the art of journaling for mindfulness. So having that support system, at least from my own personal experience, it really kind of pays dividends. So again, whether it's a mindfulness community of practice, a peer group mentor, coach, or therapist, I think it is important for us to have someone or something that we can really lean into, especially when times are hard and difficult. Another thing to consider is that technical skills might get us into the project running. But it is really going to be our emotional intelligence that keeps it from derailing. Which brings me to the third point, is that it's important for us to put emotional intelligence in practice. It is one of the most underrated stress management tools. And what does this mean, putting emotional intelligence into practice? It's really, does everything need a response? Or if it does it mean us, instead of quickly clapping back, it means pausing before reacting? I know many of us, I have gotten that email that's just triggered me, and I started typing in capital letters, or maybe not capital letters. I had a really nice clap back, but I had to really think about, what is the consequence of me sending this? What is me sending this in anger or frustration really going to do? Is it only continue going to spiral worse from here? So that's why I say it's important, after you write an email, get up, take a walk, come back to it, read it, and kind of edit it and refine it. But also, too, it's really being able to listen with empathy, because it may not just be us going through things. It may be other people on the team going through things as well. So as we may be frustrated, this person hasn't delivered anything, or we may feel like they're not doing what we asked them to do. I think it's important for us to first listen with empathy. And more importantly, let's be honest with ourselves when we're overwhelmed. And we may not have the courage to tell our bosses we're overwhelmed. Maybe it's that support system, or finding somebody you trust to share that. But we have to be honest about what we're going through, because sometimes I think we just try to push through things because we're in this rat race. We're on this hamster wheel. But the better we can manage our emotions, the more resilient I believe we can become. And the more resilient the teams that we lead becomes as well. Because we are the ones generating that energy. We're the ones that's keeping the momentum going, and people can sense the vibe in the space. But also, too, as you're working to establish boundaries, create healthy routines for clarity, lean on your support system, put emotional intelligence into practice. Can you think of any tools that might help reduce the pressure? And I'm not talking about tools such as project dashboards and softwares that can actually take the pressure off your shoulders. But tools where that can help you reduce the stress. So yes, there are project dashboards, automation, and mindful tech. Not just as productivity hacks, but mental health tools. So the more clarity you have, the less anxiety you would carry. So can you find an app, even if it's just for 5 minutes, find a mindfulness app, or find a relaxation app, or find a podcast, or find some music that you can listen to for 5 minutes or so, or even between back-to-back meetings, just take a couple minutes that can really bring you back to center. And here's another thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the support system. Another thing John had taught us is that as we're leaping from meeting to meeting, and sometimes even if we're kind of already a couple minutes late, he really stressed to us taking a moment to arrive at the next meeting. Is really pausing, taking a couple deep breaths, and then clicking into the meeting. Because that would then kind of help to reset the brain and help you bring you back to center. So as I kind of wrap up this World Mental Health Day episode, that's why I want to come back to the question I asked at the start. How are you doing? I really would like you not to really just keep it in your head. Share it with me. And I promise I won't share or read it on a live podcast episode. So send me a fan mail or DM me on LinkedIn. Or if you don't feel comfortable sharing with me, find somebody close in your network to share it with. But I think it's important not to hold it all in, because that would cause us to kind of burst and break our bubbles. And I'll leave you with this, because at the end of the day, projects succeed when people are well. Our projects will succeed when we are well. Self-care is the best care. So as always, remember to protect your peace, and you will protect your project and those around you.
Thanks for listening to the Project Management Masterclass. If you're ready to lead at a higher level, explore the Power Skills Academy and start mastering the skills that drive real project success. Visit www.developpowerskills.com. The link is in the description. See you in the next episode.